I want to share a story with you. It was a poignant experience that I had recently. But before I do that, I want to ask you the question, right? Who has heard people throw around that saying, you can't take your money to the grave with you, your houses, your cars, you're not taking them with you, mate, when you die. You're not taking them with you. I'm sure a majority of you have heard that before. I know I certainly have. And on one level, I can sort of intellectually understand it. It makes sense. You're dead. You're not taking your credit card or your PayPal accounts with you. They will have no value to you when you're dead. But it's a very rudimentary understanding that I've had, and I've just sort of like, yeah, whatever. Until recently, until this recent experience happened, where I was at the gym watching this TV show on the TVs. You know how they got the TVs in the gym and fucking, in the middle of your set or some shit. You're just like, oh yeah, ooh, that's interesting. Anyway, this TV show was talking about this famous celebrity from America. He was a DJ. He's dead now. And he was earning like $3 million a year, I think I heard him saying. So someone who's quite well known, successful, etc. And yeah, they were talking about him and how he died. And he died from this illness. It's a form of dementia that's just like super rapid, super aggressive. And anyways, the poignant part to this story was, I remember they were talking about it, and the early signs of the dementia started to set in. He was forgetting a little bit about this, forgetting a little bit about that. He was still going about his day-to-day life, still working, still doing all this and that, until it got to the point where he was unable to continue his job, unable to do his work as a DJ anymore. And it was that really struck a chord with me. I don't know why, but this man, he was in his 70s or something. He lived obviously a very successful, fruitful life, making $3 million a year. That's a lot of fucking money. He lived for his work, apparently. Lived for it. It was just his fucking purpose. And then as he's progressing to the end of his life, it's taken away from him. Just like that, he's just lost it. And that which he's lived his whole life for and worked his whole life for, at the end, it's just gone. Gone. And, this man is essentially not on his deathbed yet, but rapidly approaching the grave. And what does he have to show for it? I mean, everything that he's dedicated his life to and strived and worked hard for has just gone. And I was just thinking, I was like, fuck, what must that be like, to get to the end and everything that you've worked for, everything that you've strived for, everything that you've spent all your time, your energy and focus doing, and you get to the end and it's all slowly being ripped. You're not dead yet, but it's all slowly being ripped away. And what's left? What's left? And that was just, it just struck a chord with me, to think, imagine what that's been like. I'm sure you can relate. Say, for example, if you've had a bad injury or something before, it sort of gets you a little down in the dumps. You're injured, you can't do this, you're feeling a little bit weaker, maybe your confidence has dropped a little, whatever. It gets you a little down in the dumps. But, right? Well, I've got time, you see. Being young, all this and that, we've got time. So you get injured, you're a little down in the dumps, whatever. But you think, fuck, I got time, this will heal, I'll get strong again, I'll be able to do those things that I love doing again, and then I'll be able to bring some sort of happiness and fulfillment back into my life because we've got time, you've got time. But what happens when you get to the end, right, and you don't have any time left? All that time It's just gone. You know, those things that brought you happiness, those external things that brought you happiness, they're gone. You don't have them anymore. And you don't have the time. What then? What then? So now, if anyone says to me, you can't take your money to the grave with you, mate, I sort of get it. Not fully, I'll be honest, not fully, but I sort of get it. So that begs the question, I suppose, what can you take with you? Or is it not a matter of what can you take with you, but does it mean that it's then necessary to establish within yourself, you know, all the things that, the feelings, the fulfillment, all that stuff that external things bring to you, right? Does it then mean it's necessary to establish that fulfillment, that happiness, those feelings within yourself, irrespective of what's going on externally? So maybe taking a bit of time out to work on your mind, to work on your body, to work on your energies, so that no matter what is going on externally, within this is always 100% yours. So that when it comes to the end, you can't work. You know, the external world is it hasn't been ripped away from you fully yet, but it's very slowly being pulled and pulled away from you, and you're losing all these things that you loved, all these things you worked for. So that when they're all slowly being pulled away from you, it doesn't matter, because internally you're at a certain competence and stability within yourself that externally you can take away every external thing in the world from you. It doesn't matter, because internally that's what's yours. It is uninfluenced, it is unaffected by anything going on around you. It's 100% yours.